I still remember that night like it was yesterday, even though it happened decades ago. The cold crept through every crack of that tiny apartment in London, and my stomach ached like never before. I had no money, no prospects, no safety net, just the relentless reality that life doesn't wait for anyone. That night I cried, not because I wanted attention, not because I wanted pity, but because I was alone, and hunger has a way of breaking even the strongest people. People see Jason Statham now and think of action movies, fast cars, high stakes, and effortless confidence. But they don't see that human being, that raw vulnerability that once sat trembling on a chair, staring at an empty fridge and wondering how he'd survive another day. The world can be cruel, and I learned early that if you wait for someone to save you, you wait forever. That night was my wake-up call. I learned something important as tears ran down my face. Pain can either destroy you or fuel you, and I chose the latter. Every tear, every pang of hunger became a reminder that I had a choice: sink into despair or fight with everything I had. There were no shortcuts, no magic, only grit, determination, and a stubborn refusal to accept defeat. The streets of London were not forgiving. People would look at you, and you were invisible if you didn't have money, status, or connections. I was a nobody, and I felt it every single day. But that night, the loneliness became a companion, a teacher, showing me the raw truth about life. Hunger stripped me down to the core, forcing me to confront the man I was versus the man I wanted to become. It's funny now, looking back, how those moments of desperation shaped everything I am today. The muscles I built, the discipline I cultivated, the relentless work ethic. All of it began in that tiny apartment with nothing but my own resolve. Every time I faced a setback later in life, I remembered that night, remembered that feeling of emptiness, and I reminded myself, if I survive that, I can survive anything. People often ask how I got so focused, so driven, so willing to risk it all on every action scene, every stunt, every challenge. They don't know it was born from nights of crying alone, from days of wondering if I'd even eat. Hunger teaches lessons that no coach, no mentor, no school ever could. It teaches you the value of persistence, the power of resilience, and the necessity of believing in yourself when the whole world doubts you. I want everyone to understand something. Vulnerability is not weakness. That night I cried, I felt weak. I felt powerless. But the moment I accepted my vulnerability, I started to grow. Strength doesn't come from having it all. Strength comes from rising every time you fall, from staring your fear in the face and refusing to blink. That's the lesson I carry with me every single day. Even now, when I step onto a movie set, when I prepare for a stunt, when I make a choice that could go wrong in a million ways, I think of that night. I think of the tears, the pain, the hunger. I think of the quiet moment when I decided I wouldn't be a victim of life. That memory fuels me. It reminds me of the fire that was lit so long ago, a fire that never went out. Success, fame, money, they mean nothing if you haven't faced the raw edge of survival. And I have. I faced it alone. I faced it hungry. I faced it scared. And I overcame it. That night is a testament not to my weakness, but to the fact that every human being has the power to transform despair into determination. Every tear has a purpose. Every pang of hunger can be a spark. I remember the days before that night too. I wasn't always so aware of my own fragility. I'd wander streets, empty-handed, trying to find work, trying to find scraps, trying to survive. Each rejection, each insult, each no fueled the same fire that night fully ignited. Every cold morning, every grumbling stomach, every humiliating moment, it was all shaping me. People call it talent now, grit, dedication, but those qualities were forged in moments of desperation, when there was literally nothing to rely on but my own heart and determination. I began noticing patterns. If I could endure hunger, humiliation, loneliness, I could endure almost anything else. That realization became a kind of blueprint. I practiced control, discipline, resilience in every aspect of life. I trained my body because a strong body helps sustain a strong mind. I learned to move through fear and uncertainty with awareness, patience, and courage. All of it stemmed from that primal experience of being utterly alone, utterly vulnerable, utterly hungry. And then came opportunity. Though it was never handed to me, I had to grab it, fight for it, and prove I was worthy. I stepped onto sets with no guarantee, performed stunts that could have killed me, took risks that others wouldn't dare take, all because I knew the alternative, a life waiting, frozen, with an empty stomach and wasted potential. I refused that. I would not let life define me. I would define myself. Every story of triumph begins in struggle, and my struggle was visceral, intimate, and terrifying. I remember nights when I curled up with nothing but hope, wondering if it was enough, wondering if the world had already decided my fate. And then I made a promise to myself. I will survive. I will not just survive, I will conquer. That promise became my mantra, my North Star, my invisible trainer guiding me through years of relentless work and self-discovery. I tell this because I want people to understand the truth. No one's life is smooth. No one's success is instant. Behind every confident smile, every heroic action, every effortless movement you see, there is pain, there is hunger, there is doubt. There is a night like mine, a moment where everything could have ended or everything could have begun. So when people watch Jason Statham fight, run, dive, leap, and appear invincible on screen, remember the human story behind it. Remember the tears, the hunger, the loneliness. Remember the night that almost broke me, but instead forged me into someone stronger, faster, more determined, and more relentless than I ever imagined I could be. Every risk, every stunt, every challenge is built on that foundation. Because hunger, real, gnawing, soul-crushing hunger, isn't just about food. It's about the craving for life. The craving for dignity, the craving to stand tall when everything tells you to sit down. That hunger never left me. It drives me. It shapes me. It reminds me daily that the fire lit that lonely night will never die, and it will burn in me forever. And that is why I share this story. Not for sympathy, not for applause, but so that anyone feeling powerless, hungry, lost, or alone knows this: you can survive. You can rise. You can transform every tear, every pang, every moment of despair into a weapon, into fuel, into the fire that forges your future. Because I once cried from hunger, and that cry was not the end of my story. It was the very beginning of everything I have become.